Radio Man's time. So Edmondo Pillow is here. In my journeys across time, I say the things I don't want to see. In my voyage across the seas, I see the things I want to see. In all, it is the sunshine that brightens my path. What about you? See, I have not come to mourn here because I've somewhat told myself that when I can help it, I will not mourn. I am learning not to mourn when I can help it. There are times you can help it. So I've not come to mourn. I have come to console. You see, my voice is strong. It has no tears in it. It is strong because we have come to honor and remember a man whose unwavering dedication and love for Nigeria will continue to echo through the airwaves every day. I will not play his voice. No, I won't. Because if I played his voice, I will mourn. I've only come to console. Are you with me in this class? The theme of this class is not consolation. Say, I will not hear his voice on the show anymore. Perhaps I'm getting used to it. You know, he will call Miss Baudin Abdusalam from Coca-Cola. He will not call again. Yes, he was more than just a listener. He was a friend and he was a regular caller. You know, about 5 months ago, I was saying I've not heard Abdusalam's voice on the show. And something was running through my mind. You know, I've not heard that voice of hope, that voice of patriotism. He was on the sick bed. So Abdusalam Musbaudin's voice was one we all came to know and appreciate on Splash FM. His contributions were never just words. They were expressions of a deep-seated passion for a better Nigeria, a Nigeria that worked for everyone. His comments reflected his dreams of a nation where fairness, justice, and prosperity were not just aspirations, but realities for all. Ms. Baudin Abdusalam from Coca-Cola is no more. His love for Nigeria was not just glaring, it was infectious. I wish I could play his voice. Ms. Baudin Abdusalam believed in the potential of Nigeria, and through his words, he inspired us to believe as well. He reminded us of the power of hope, the importance of unity, and the necessity of striving towards the common good. Ms. Baudin's recent passing, after a brief illness, has left a void in our hearts and on our airwaves. So yesterday, I put a call through to his brother, Mubashir Abdusalam. He introduced me to his brother, and I finally met his brother at the Association of Nigerian Authors. So Mubashir Abdusalam is the elder brother of Misbauddin Abdusalam. He tells us what happened to him.
What happened to Misbauddin Abdusalam?
For about 4 months, thereabouts, he has been here. But the real nature of the, business, we didn't really know. This quality, everything here is, I don't know. Because at a point, even one of these political associates took him to his a personal hospital in Okeado. At least to me, because I was there. At least it's standard hospital. And they spent a lot there. So he was admitted for a week. I don't know any medical term for the thing, but what he just said when I asked him is that he said because he was getting lean at that time and leaner, but he was still active. But if you see him, you have been gotten emaciated. And he said what the diagnosis was that there was protein in his urine. So I think it was fixed. After a week, he was discharged and has to be doing, a follow-up checkup. And he did that too for about 2 weeks, and then he was cleared. And they gave him drugs and say he will recover. That he will put up flesh again, and that almost happened. So while we think he was recovering, he started complaining of some other things again. And like we are back to square one, he started getting lean again. So people advise that we should seek alternative medicine. And we have, I think, a man that I can say most of them because he has cured, I think, about 3 diseases for us with alternative medicine. Our mother's, what do you call it, in diabetics, with her own wife's ulcer, with fruits and just leaves. So the man knows his onions. A very elderly man like this. And then he has got so many other people that will refer to him. And so the man was giving him drugs. But when people started asking questions, I said, it's better you go back to hospital with this and that. So he was managing until his wife put to bed. That was around 2 weeks ago. And so after that, when the wife was discharged at the hospital, it now started complaining of chest pain and even the ribs. Then he has been, coughing, just some little cough that time. But he said if he wants to sleep, he can't sleep with the right side, left side, unless he just puts his back, on the bed. And that was his wife has been discharged from hospital then. So 3 days after, I said, look, so it's getting weaker and weaker. We now have to take him to the hospital where his wife was delivered. So that one gave him injections, some kind of drugs, juice, and other. And at the time, he now started coughing very well. And this phlegm was, phlegm was coming. And he has about a cup full of phlegm. Not at once, but the phlegm that came from his cough now was a cup full, the total. And he felt relieved. His voice even changed, that we were like saying, thank God at last. His voice changed. It became more audible, normal. Because before that time, he can't talk properly. And we thought maybe because of that chest a congestion or something. But now, at a point, he now coughed, and blood came out with it. And the doctor now said we should go and do chest X-ray. So when the results came, they said it's a sign of TB. And he has TB. So we had the chap from the hospital and referred to, Dama Foundation in Onion. And so we went there and they started treatment just on Monday, just for 3 days, because they gave us a drug that we will use for about 2 weeks because of the distance he will be coming from. Before that time, he has gotten so weak. But they were assuring us that he will recover. That if he use the drug for 3 weeks, we will start seeing signs of recovery. But they said that would be almost a year-long thing. That we should be prepared. Yeah. But he used it for 3 days and he just packed up.
He died on what day?
That was when did he die? I think that would be three days ago, around 5:15 in the early hours. Yeah.
And he has been buried according to Muslim rites?
Yes. We've done that yesterday. And tomorrow we will hold and the 3 days without prayer for him. And I think that will be the end of the Islamic ritual.
Please accept our condolences.
Thanks so much.
Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows, only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows, only time. We are
Mubashir Abdusalam telling us the sad tale of his brother Alhaji Misbauddin Abdusalam from Coca-Cola. We will miss his insights, his dedication, and the spirit he brought to every conversation. As I console you over his loss, we also celebrate the legacy he leaves behind, a legacy of unwavering commitment to the ideals of a nation he loved so dearly. Misbauddin Abdusalam is no more.
Who can say when the roads meet that the might be in your heart? And who can say when the day sleeps if the night heals night heals.
In his memory, we at Splash hold the torch high, shining it on the dreams he pursued with such fervor. We carry forward the ideals he championed, and we pledge to continue the conversations he started, to keep alive the vision of a Nigeria that works for everybody. Rest in peace, Misbauddin Abdusalam from Coca-Cola. Your voice may be silent, but your spirit and your dreams live on in all of us at Splash FM and in the hearts of those who loved and admire you. You will never be forgotten. All right. You may have one or two words to say about that radio caller, that commentator on national, local, and international affairs. Call the radio station 080 915 510 55. That is 080 9155 1055. You can also call. Okay, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
It's the people we are living that valued men. Just like yesterday we left Dr. Koyo Ladejo, and now it is Mr. Odin. I pray the Lord will comfort the family left behind, and the better Nigeria we want, the Lord will give it to us. And to all people fans, to all my brothers and sisters who listen to the program, I pray the Lord will spare us. Thank you, Edmund.
Thank you. Yes, he talked about Reverend Koyi Ladele. The lines are open. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Lawrence from Mania.
Make your point.
It's very unfortunate to lose such a golden voice. In fact, I have just a short of words. Let me say rest in peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling the radio station. Abdusalam Miss Bowden from Coca-Cola is no more. Good morning. You can also call the radio station on 070 694 93000. Good morning. Hello. Call the radio station on 070 694 93000. You can also call the radio station on 070 144 75770. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Edmund.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
It's so sad I had Abdusalam from Coca-Cola died. I'm calling from United Kingdom. I'm your listener. I listen to you all the time. I've never called you. Sometimes I send a message. There was the day you said you've not heard Abdusalam, I was listening to you as well. I said, inside me, I said, I've not heard for this man for quite a while. I listened to Abdusalam Abdulfatah from a radio station. You would know. If I mention it, I don't know if you're okay by you. That's Fresh FM in the morning as well. I love the man. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. It's so sad we lost him. Likewise with the Reverend Koyi Ladele as well. These are visionary people that they want good for the country. I left the country for quite a while because seeing Nigeria being this way, I'm not happy with Nigeria. But people back home, I pray for Nigeria, I pray for my family, I pray for everyone for which way Nigeria is going to. Nowhere. The new country have said it all and it's time to stand there. Which way Nigeria? I love my fatherland. But we don't love our fatherland anymore. Is it motherland anymore now or what? May you so rest in peace.
Thank you.
Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. I'm so sad and short of words as well. I feel like crying.
Don't cry. Sorry about that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Don't cry. Try not to. But if you must cry, all right, cry. Sometimes crying helps. But I won't cry. I've cried enough. The older I become, I think the stronger I also become. Hello, good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. I'm Sunday. I didn't know.
Good to have you, sir.
In fact, it's a serious shock. Warning that Salam for Coca-Cola is gone. And I also believe that such is alive. Those that are good, they are dying. Those that are evil, they also die. So all of us, one day, we are going to leave this world. It's a matter of time. So whatever if we believe that there is another life, then we need to live well. And this country, Nigeria, we pray for it that God will intervene so that we deliver this country from the hand of the people that have captured it. And I pray that all our efforts, God will, and your own efforts too, God will bring fruitfulness on it. I sympathize with the family, and I pray that God will give them fortitude to bear this great loss. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you for calling the radio station. Thank you. Musbauddin Abdul Salam is no more. He was buried on Thursday according to Islamic rites. Yeah. You know, I gave him some books not too long ago. And I was planning the next package for next month. Somehow I told him, I said, I'm going to give him a bigger package. Because there was a book he wanted, then I didn't give to him. That was, he so wanted it, I didn't give it to him. That is from Third World to First by Lin Kuan Yew. Because I only had a copy left. I didn't want to release it to him. But because of him, I've been looking for the book. And when I was able to get about 30 copies, I said I'm going to give him one. You know, and my own idea was to invite him to the studio. After the analysis, I will not give him that package, you know, to thank him for his dedication, his fight for a beautiful country. What do we do? Somebody else will read the book. Books are meant to be read by those alive. Call the radio station. Good morning. Hello.
Hello, Edmond. Sorry, can I take on the board, please?
The ball is in your court.
Good morning, sir. Yeah. Sorry, I just want to say something as well because of the way I feel about Musbau on Coca-Cola. I just want to talk about the situation in Nigeria as well. My first parents passed away my dad passed away in 2020. My mom passed away in 2016. So I've been in this country for a while now. In this country where I am right now, they wouldn't want you to die. What I had that killed Musbau we could have survived. But because we lack of should I say our medical care is not good? Which I know is not good. My both parents, they're both in this country. They will use my parents as maybe, should I say, a kind of how will I say? There was something not to die, except God called him over there. Because having diabetes, having high blood pressure, having all these illness that doesn't warrant anyone to die from. But in Nigeria where we are, little thing can kill, which is not supposed to be true.
Thank you.
I'm a doctor. I get practical enough. I get experience enough. And which I don't really know as well. Why will you have an high blood pressure and the guy for me? 2 months ago, I went to gym. I was doing some rigorous exercise. Some 3 days later, I feel at my lower abdomen. I feel funny there. I feel it seems I'm having prostate issue kind of. I was worried for quite a while. I went to do a test. And the test was carried out. And they said, I'm okay. My PPA is fine. Everything is fine. My blood sugar level, everything is fine. But in Nigeria, can I do that? Can that be done properly? Which I don't really know as well. Can that be done properly? I don't know. But because of the hospital that we have here, you go for a checkup, you get a good result. They call you to have a proper checkup without you paying. You pay your NI and the rest, which I know we all do that. But in Nigeria, the planet Earth here is absolutely out of, it's nothing to write home about. It's so sad that
Thank you. Thank you.
immediately can kill in Nigeria. Thank you so much, and I would have said enough. Thank you so much.
Thank
God
you.
bless you.
Thank you. It also means that we should not play with our health. We have good doctors in Nigeria. We might not have the good facilities. But again, you are the first doctor to yourself. Especially for those above 40 now. You know, as you age, you must begin to watch what you eat, what you think about. See, there's one thing that has kept me going. Even when times were hard, I've also gone through hard times. I don't zero on it. You know, let me tell you this. I could remember when I started working at Splash. Splash FM was at Premier Hotel. You know, you just heard Monobilo on radio doing bullseye. You know, you'll be happy. Many times I was broke. There were times I would do night shift. After the night shift, when I used to run Village Square at night live, Eagle's Eye live, I had so many things chasing my money. My parents were going through hard times at that time. My younger sisters were in the university. I needed to assist. There were times I was living in Oluyole Estate. I would trek from Premier Hotel to Oluyole Estate in the night. I would just be trekking. I never for one day said I was suffering. I just saw it, I was exercising. That was me. That's how I channel to me, I was exercising. And as I was trekking, you see, I'll be thinking of what I want to be, what I want to achieve. And that immediately I get home, I'll just go and download into my dictionary all the memories I had on that road. But some people will say, I'm suffering, I'm going. Yes, to me, I saw it as exercise. You know, it made me positive. I said, okay. As I was going, I said, okay, soon I'm going to stop this Eagle's Eye. Soon I'm going to stop this Village Square live and begin to record it. I said, I will make life, you know. Then I said, okay, I'll go back and think. I was also happy I was contributing to the education of my sisters. I was also happy I was helping my parents because times were hard. I was happy I was responsible. I learned money management, how you can manage small money and live well. I gave myself target. I said within the next 2 months, I won't trek anymore. I missed the target, but within 4 months, so I stepped up. I put money somewhere, I lost money here, I did more. You know, I stepped up. I come and see that, oh, hey, I'm trekking, life is hard. It won't change anything now, you become miserable. Just because, and when you become miserable, your body becomes miserable. Your systems will not begin to work well. You won't breathe well. You know, that is why stress kills. And you impose it on yourself. And I became physical, I became smarter. Even till now, there are times I park my car and I trek. Just because of security reasons, I don't do that anymore. What's there? You are trekking, you are crying. Let's trek. When I was in New York for the United Nations conference in 2015, I will move from New Jersey. I will stop at the park, the Central Park in New York. I will trek from that Central Park in New York to United Nations building. To me, it was fun. And people were trekking. You see white people trekking. Everybody, you know, and you have walkways. That's why you have walkways. So attune your mind to say that you can break through from the condition you are now. You dream, not just dream, and you begin to work towards it. Avoid self-pity. Avoid self-pity. Hardship is an opportunity for you to be creative. Yes, the system is bad, but from your creativity, you can be that one that will change the system. So please don't play with your health. You know, I see a lot of persons having high blood pressure. It has become so rampant. High blood pressure, high blood pressure. You know, sometimes you see you are doing well. You are doing well. But because we have a lot of criminals in the society who have become rich illegitimately, so sometimes you just feel you are not doing well. You know, you have a car, but you are angry that you want to have 4. On a good day, what do you need a car for? Just move from one spot to the other. You have a car that is good, but because, yes, if you make good money, yes, you can go and buy a big car. But if you can't buy a big car, you have a car that is working. Just keep moving. Keep moving. I was reading the biography of Warren Buffett. You'll be shocked that Warren Buffett has used his car for more than 30 years. He lives in a bungalow. What is one of the richest men in the world? He uses his billion to make impact on humanity. Yeah, you can use yours to build big houses. I don't have a problem with it. But for those who don't have the mansion, you can build a bungalow if you can. You can live in a rented apartment as far as you can pay your rent. Don't put yourself under unnecessary pressure. You die, you go. You just go and we'll be here. We'll eat. Just have to realize it. Even in the home of the dead, they are eating. They are cooking. So do your best to live. Then when you can't help it, we'll understand. Abdul Salam from Coca-Cola was ill. He couldn't help it. Couldn't help it. And that is life. Some will live long, some will live short. May his soul continue to flow in a serene cottage. You know, just stay cool. Calm down. Calm down. We'll be fine. Good morning. The program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station.
State Affairs with Edmond Nabilo is live. Splash FM 105.5. In the global
The organization under the leadership of Baba Fashoranti, who is the national leader of Afenifere.
Is Afenifere a divided house at the moment?
It is not, but there have been what I would call a divided opinion. Some 2 years ago, Baba Ayo Adebanjo was appointed by Baba Fashoranti as the acting leader. And don't forget, the leader of Afenifere carries two caps. He is the national leader of Afenifere. He is also regarded as the Asiwaju Yoruba. So it's answerable not just to those who are members of Afenifere on the register, but it's ultimately to the larger Yoruba nation. So when Baba Ayo Adebanjo became the acting leader of Afenifere, many of the members of Afenifere were not comfortable with some of his actions and pronouncements. And they felt that the national leader needs to assert his leadership and should not leave the field open alone to the acting leader. Both of them are great men, but there are things that needs to be corrected. And I believe with what has happened early this year, the correct things have been done.
The acting leader, Ayo Adebanjo, wanted Peter Obi, and what I would call the leader that was resting endorsed Bola Ahmed Tinubu. At that point, the center could not hold, right?
Well, let me tell you, there was nothing wrong with Baba Ayo Adebanjo wanting Governor Peter Obi as president. What was the quarrel was that did he make enough consultation? If this is personal predilection, if he feels strongly about it, did he consult enough within the wider Yoruba nation? Were there enough members of Afenifere and those who belong to the Yoruba leadership following him in this decision? For me, I believe at that point, I don't believe Baba made enough consultation. Especially, he did not make enough consultation with the leader of Afenifere. If you're acting on behalf of somebody.
Okay.
Therefore, that somebody should still have a say.
I thought Paruben Fashoranti handed over to Ayo Adebanjo. Say, carry on. I am now too old. I can't function as the national leader of Afenifere anymore.
Let me go back a little bit. Yes, he did. He said, you are the acting leader. But you are acting leader. That word is very clear, that you are acting as a leader. You are not the leader.
In the absence of the leader.
So, when the leader cannot fully occupy his office, you are acting for him. If you are acting president, you act fully as acting president.
You are president. You can take decision as the president.
Yeah, but you must make your principal aware of the decision you are taking. Because your principal can reverse it. Can say that the decision you have taken, I don't agree with you. If you did not make proper consultation before coming out to carry the full majesty of the presidential power. So, if you take the presidential power for granted when you are acting, then you may actually act in nullity. So, in this wise, Papa Fashoranti appointed Baba Ayo Adebanjo as acting leader to act on his behalf. He has not appointed a successor. He appointed an acting leader.
But the meetings of Afenifere moved to the house of Pa Adebanjo. How do we explain that?
That was a strategic, I would call it a strategic error. It has never happened that a leader will be alive and then you move the meeting out of his house. I think it was an error. It was an error.
Was that what emboldened Pa Adebanjo?
I wouldn't say emboldened. The fact is, if something has never happened before, and it's happening now, then you know that the leaders should think that something is happening that shouldn't happen. I think those were strategic errors on the part of Babayo Adebanjo. There was nothing wrong with him being acting leader, but if you follow the tradition of Afenifere, the meeting should still have continued in the house of Fashoranti, because you are acting for him anyway. Even if you could not even come out to participate in the meeting, you can always brief him.
Knew me, knew my story. Mrs. Omishade, whose husband I guess was a politician, Chief Michael Omishade, Mrs. Onitiri, Mrs. Adebekun, the various principals at different times, they loved me. But you see, I was a disturbed child. I was not mentally disturbed, but I was an unhappy child. Opening days, visiting days, nobody would really visit me. Sometimes, yes, my uncle would come from Lagos, but not all the time. I thank General Olufemi Olutoye and his late wife, Professor Oluri Omotayo Olutoye, for the part they played in my life at that point. They used to call them federal commissioners then, minister, right? They call them ministers now. On days when they came to visit me in Yejide on visiting day, I would be like walking on the moon. Oh boy, with the soldiers driving the car and me, I had this visitor. I'd be so happy I'll be walking on air because people hardly visited me.
State Affairs with Edmond Below is live.
So they were probably accused of being corrupt, and I laugh when I think of that corruption. My father had what? 2 houses. One in Ikoyi that everybody else had. What's the road now? I've forgotten. General Gowon lives there now. Chief Akintola had one there too, so it must have been what they gave out to all of them and took out from their salaries. He had another one in Surulere. My uncle sold it a while ago. That was it. My mother had her house even before she married my father. She had the Oshodi land before she married my father.
And I've also read...
Corruption? Really? Can you compare it to what we have now?
They said your dad was very political.
So they said.
They had connections in the political circle. Even in the book he runs it was mentioned.
But was that wrong? Should he have been the enemies of the people in power?
State Affairs with Edmond Below is live.
Do you think this protest is called for?
I believe if they had protested in 2023 before the elections to affirm the need for Nigeria to sit down and come to definitive understanding of the terms of their coexistence, I would have supported it. But if the fundamentals of this country remain what they are, if they protest today, in under 9 months, they'll be protesting again. In under 9 months, they'll be protesting again. It is just a symptom of the fundamental malaise, malignancy of the Nigerian statehood. That is it. So it's not going to achieve any meaningful long-term goals. What you need to do at this point in time is to begin to interrogate the fundamentals of Nigerian statehood. That's what you need to do.
What are these fundamentals?
The fundamental is recognizing that this is a multi-ethnic, multinational state, and you need to define in a very constructive manner how to continue the longevity of the state or what compromises you need to take.
You have an idea in mind? Are you looking at the First Republic?
Well, that's what those of restructuring are saying. But I also would like to remind you, there are those who also believe that after all these years, perhaps it will be more constructive and save life by separating the country.
State Affairs with Edmond Below is live.
What happens to a non-reading society?
It's as good as dead. It's as good as dead because it will continue to decay. You people could be architects of their own destruction by not making themselves available to new information, to new knowledge. things will be happening around you, you will not know. Things that happened in the past that could repeat without having access to books and so forth, you will not know them. And things that may be about to happen, these are contained in works, in books, and other sorts of information. If you are not reading, you are dying.
State Affairs with Edmond Nobilo is live.
Basi gave me food. He didn't give me soup. My cousins and my younger brother were playing outside the house. Very close window, playing football. I had done some housework, and then that was why I didn't eat at the same time my cousins and my brother ate. So I sat down and wondered why I had no soup. And then he took like a cane, a whip, and asked me to start eating. I began to eat and I began to throw up.
How old were you?
7 maybe. I began to eat and I began to throw up. As I was throwing up, Basi was asking me to pack it up again and eat it. I sat on the floor.
Where was your uncle?
He had gone to work. He was working with Drum Publications at the time, the magazine. His wife too was working somewhere, I can't remember. They had both gone to work. I still feel that my mother's spirit. Oh, I'm supposed to be a born-again Christian, right? I'm not supposed to believe in spirits after the death. But I still believe by some reason my mother's spirit was there. Why was I throwing it up? Why wasn't I swallowing the poison? Why didn't I die? So as I was eating and throwing up, he was beating me. I was getting weak. At some point, he took off his trousers. Wanted to have me. I was 7.
State Affairs with Edmond Nobilo is live.
Yes, part 2 of the Sholakbe Ademulegun interview. Don't miss it. I played part 1 a fortnight ago. On this edition of State Affairs, you listen to part 2 of the Sholakbe Ademulegun interview. She is the brigadier's daughter. Have you read her book entitled The Brigadier's Daughter? It's a book you should read about the January 1966 coup. The Brigadier's Daughter, that's the book. You can see it if you are watching on Facebook, on X, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. You can see it. The Brigadier's Daughter. It's a book you should read. And if you are interested in getting a copy, in purchasing a copy, you can contact me on my WhatsApp number. That is 080 18449. If you are interested in purchasing a copy of this incisive work of history, of pain, you contact me on my WhatsApp number. Just chat me up on 080 18449. Akonye Umoba, how are you? Akonye, thank you. You are always there on Facebook. Akonye, I know you are listening, so please just pop into my private message. Akonye, send me your address in the message and your phone number. I want to send some books to you. Akonye Umoba, are you listening? I can see you are watching live on Facebook. Just pop into my message, or you can send me a message on my WhatsApp number. I want to appreciate your consistency on this page. So just send your address and your phone number. We'll be sending some books to you wherever you are. I don't know where you are watching from, Akonye, but I know I always see you. I always see your comments. Thank you for being there. Yes, Oladele Do Joseph. I've not seen your comment this morning, but I know Oladele Do Joseph is always there. Yes, Oladele Do Joseph, I know I have your number, but if you are listening, send me your address. I want to send some books to you. Thank you for always being there, Oladele Do Joseph. Thank you. So please send me your address and put the phone number for delivery so that when the delivery man calls, you will pick the call so your book will be delivered to you. Your books, rather, will be delivered to you. Omotayo Oluwarotimi Onobamiro. I know you are in the UK now. Should I send a book to you in the UK? Don't worry, when you come home, let me know. When it comes to conversations, you are so consistent on the page. Thank you. Omotayo Oluwarotimi Onobamiro. You know, his father worked with Awolowo. His father gave witness against Awolowo in that treasonable felony charge. You know, Professor Onobamiro. So that's the son of Professor Onobamiro. Omotayo has always wanted to tell the story of his own dad. Omotayo, yes, that interview is coming. You tell me your daddy's side of the story, because you feel that your daddy was victimized. Your daddy has his own story. You know, his father was a very brilliant man, one of the most brilliant persons in the Awolowo cabinet at that time. Very brilliant professor. But at what point did he decide to testify against Awolowo? And Awolowo was sent to prison. He said his father told him a lot. So someday you are going to listen to the Omotayo Oluwarotimi Onobamiro interview, the side of his father's story. Yes, who's the third person? Okay, I have picked two persons on Facebook, Akonye Umoba and Oladele Do Joseph. Joseph is even everywhere. It's on X too. Yes. The third person. Okay, I think Abeza Chaso Bina. Abeza Chaso Bina. Yes, send me a WhatsApp message. Tell me how do you want to receive your book. Should I send it to the Dominican house? He's a Dominican brother. He'll be a Reverend Father soon. He's a deep philosopher. Abeza Chaso Bina is always there. So Akonye Umoba, Abeza Chaso Bina, and Oladele Do Joseph. Thank you for always being there. Hey, Pedro, I've seen Pedro Olayemi Babawale. Pedro, yes. Pedro, are you done with your youth service? Pedro Olayemi, so that I don't forget. Pedro Olayemi Babawale. Okay, Pedro, I know you popped into my box the other time. Supposed to pop in again. What's up with you? Do you have a job now? Let's talk. Send me your phone number. Let me see what I can do. Yeah, I like your spirit, but I'm going to send you some books too. So just pop in, send me your number. Pedro Olayemi Babawale. All right. So those are the four persons getting books. How many books will they get each? I'll decide that after the show. Now, it's about a people's democratic constitution. Our former Commonwealth Secretary General, Chief Emeka Anyaoku, has called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to convene a National Constituent Assembly to draft a new constitution for the country. This proposal was presented last week during a meeting with the President at the State House in Abuja. Chief Anyaoku, who also chairs the Patriots, emphasized the need for a new constitution, suggesting that the President should submit an executive bill to the National Assembly to kickstart this process. He outlined that the proposed National Constituent Assembly should be composed of individuals elected by the people on a non-party basis. So let's go back to Emeka Anyaoku's presentation to President Bola Tinubu.
In March, the Patriots organized a national colloquium, and the attendees of the colloquium included many former governors and many former and serving senators and members of the House of Representatives, as well as several academics and constitutional lawyers, plus members of the general public. The colloquium unanimously adopted a view which they requested should be conveyed to you, Mr. President, and to the National Assembly. The view was that Nigeria needs a new legitimate Nigeria People's Democratic Constitution, that the present constitution is illegitimate and cannot deal effectively with the myriad challenges facing this country. In other words, that our present governance system needs to be restructured. Nigeria is a pluralistic country. That is a country of different peoples with different languages, different cultures, and different religions. Experience throughout the world has shown that the pluralistic countries that have survived as united political entities are those that addressed the basic challenge of pluralism, that is, their diversity, through truly federal constitutions, and that those pluralistic countries that persisted in their non-truly federal constitutions ended up disintegrating. Examples of the pluralistic countries that have survived are Canada, Switzerland, and India. And the examples of the pluralistic countries that persisted with non-truly federal constitutions which disintegrated are Yugoslavia, which broke into 7 independent countries after almost 100 years' existence as one country, and Czechoslovakia, that separated into 2 countries. And coming nearer home here in Africa, Sudan, which broke into 2 countries after existing as one country for about 3,000 years. We believe, therefore, that if Nigeria is to effectively tackle its myriad challenges and to achieve its potential as a politically stable democracy, it must restructure its present governance system to truly federal system based on the factors recognized by Nigeria's founding fathers, who negotiated and agreed the 1960-1963 constitutions. Above all, Mr. President, the Patriots believe that your personal record as one of the great champions of Nigeria's democracy, Nigeria struggled to restore democracy during the Nadeko days, provides our country with its best opportunity for achieving Nigeria's people's democratic constitution. To this end, we have come to appeal to you to send to the National Assembly the President's executive bill, which would call for two important measures. First, the convening of a National Constituent Assembly with the mandate to produce a draft People's Democratic Constitution. The Constituent Assembly should be of directly elected individuals, elected on non-political party basis from the 36 states of the Federation, possibly 3 individuals per state and 1 from the Federal Capital Territory. They should be assisted by 7 constitutional lawyers, drawn 1 each from the 6 geopolitical zones and 1 from the Federal Capital Territory. And the deliberations of the Constituent Assembly should take into full account the 1960 and 63 constitutions, as well as the recommendations of the 2014 National Conference, and indeed of the various other national conferences that considered the Nigerian Constitution. And the second measure that we propose for your President's executive bill is for the establishment of a national referendum to which the draft constitution emerging from the Constituent Assembly would be subjected. The draft constitution produced by the Constituent Assembly, as I said, should be put to a national referendum, and if approved, should then be signed by the President as the genuine, legitimate Nigerian people's constitution.
State Affairs with Edmond Nobilo is live.
That's Emeka Anyoku, the chair of the group known as the Patriots. He presented that paper to President Tinubu last Friday, or 2 Fridays ago. 2 Fridays ago, the Friday before this Friday. What do you think about that presentation? Yes, I also want to give out a book to Titi Chodillon. Titi Chodillon. I want to give out a book to a lady, yes. So Miss Titi Chodillon, please, can you pop into my message box? Just send me your address and phone number. Let me send a book to you. It is good to read. Reading opens the mind. And reading can lift pressure out of your mind. Reading inspires me. You know, I spent my week in Abuja. I only came back yesterday. Yes, I went for a conference, but I kept reading. I would leave the conference, go back to my hotel. No matter how busy I am, I must read. So you always find me with a pencil. You always find me with a pencil. I'm reading. It takes my mind away from pains. It brings beauty. Occupy your mind with those things that bring beauty to your life. You see, a reading nation is a developing nation. The first time I traveled to Germany in the train from Frankfurt to Bonn, many of the whites were reading. We're reading novels. There's something it does to your brain. You know, you even go to Doha, you see Education City. You go to Dubai, they know the power of knowledge. One of the bane of development in Africa is the value we place on knowledge. That's why you can see our universities are in poor state. It tells you the value, the premium you place on knowledge. You see our primary schools and secondary school, that kind of society cannot compete. You always play the catch up whenever we've been left behind. You know, President Bola Tinubu was in Guinea-Bissau. You know, he made a statement. He said African states must invest in research. He said it in Guinea-Bissau. You know, I said, yes, Mr. President, you've said the right thing. But I sat back, I said, Mr. President, that's not what you should be saying in Guinea-Bissau, that African states should invest in research. That's not what you should be saying. You should be saying in Guinea-Bissau that we have spent 1 trillion on research and development. Not we. You should be telling us how much you have put into research, so that you will inspire Guinea-Bissau, you will inspire Congo. So Nigerian president has spent 1 trillion on research. If you give me the opportunity, I will spend 1 trillion on research. I know what it will do. Research and development leads to innovation. Go and see how much China is putting into R&D. You know, the research fund of Harvard University, the research fund of Harvard University is bigger than the budget of all the Southwest states put together. I don't want to say it's bigger than that of Nigeria's budget. You'll be shocked how much General Motors is putting into research. So when you see them developing, you think they just woke up and it just fell from heaven? Go and see how much Facebook is putting on research and development. Here, they'll be buying a cup of rice and be insulting the sensibility of citizens. Since 1999, we've been doing palliative, sharing rice, Gary. What a nation. You debase a people by those palliatives. President will send in 20 trucks of rice. State governors will go and rebag it and put their pictures. You see, the level of unseriousness that is going on here. Just food. And the citizens are all running through food. So what everybody's talking about is hunger. The hunger of the stomach. But yet they cannot cultivate their lands. You are traveling from Ibadan to Lagos, green land. You see land wasting away. Small Israel has turned desert into vegetations that can feed Africa. Israel is not as big as Oyo, but you can see their whole land. I did a research on Kenya. I went into interior area in Kenya. You see, Dutch companies have bought over the lands in Kenya. They bought over the farms. They are the ones farming. And they are buying more lands in Malawi. They are the ones farming. Africans are still using hoe and cutlass because we are not investing in research. We are opening more universities by the day. LAUTECH is there. What has LAUTECH done to improve your state in terms of research? How would they do it? All we do is to pay lecturers their salaries. So if you go to our universities, our lecturers are all chasing MacArthur funding, Ford funding, Bill and Melinda Gates funding. But our own billionaires here are buying rights and sharing to people. They are not investing in research. They are not interested. They want you to remain poor. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is funding IITA, funding different research institutions. He who pays the piper dictates the tune. They now tell you what to research on. You now research on what will solve problems or what will give the capitalists more money. And America becomes richer. But our billionaires here, you are not funding research. You're jumping up and down, buying 50 cars that you don't need. You park them in your compound. You cover them with canopies. We cannot solve our problems. UI cannot solve the problem of Agbo. UI cannot solve its own problems. The professors are praying in the laboratories. They've turned it to worship centers. It is God that will cure the problems of Africa, and yet God will not cure it. Our churches are not sponsoring research. Mr. President went to Guinea-Bissau. African states should sponsor. How much has Lagos State invested in research? How much? Mr. President, we need more trailers of rice. Bring them in. We cannot even invest in research to produce rice for ourselves. We have opened the borders now. Bring them. Let the food come in. People are hungry. Let them eat. You eat and sleep. You eat and sleep. Phone you cannot manufacture. Nothing. Africa must wake up. Edmond Obilo, wake up. We're so backward. You know, I'm doing a research on technological decoupling. The more I read for that research for my PhD, the more I become sometimes depressed. That these guys have taken over everything. Because they are investing in research. They are investing in research. They are investing in human capacity, improving the capacity of their citizens. And the best way to do it is to invest in education. You know, sometimes UI should be a center of international learning. It has become so local. You know, look at UCH. UCH should be a center of international health excellence. Are we investing in UCH? Are we investing? Mr. President, you know, Dangote is talking about oil, petrol. How much has Dangote put in research? Even research in petrol. How much has Dangote given to Department of Geology? How many of them have endowed chairs in our universities? Billionaires that are not affecting their, all they are doing, they are sharing money. You see, billionaires that share money are not brilliant. You share the money, you eat it, and you become broke again. The Bill Gates, they invest in knowledge. Look at how much Bill Gates put into ChatGPT. Look, go and investigate how much Bill Gates put into ChatGPT for us to have that ChatGPT that everybody is using. And we are paying, you know how much they are making? Mark Zuckerberg, how much they are making from Facebook ads? How much YouTube is making from ads? That as you consume the data, it generates money for them on Instagram. Do we have the capacity to say we can compete at that level? Oh, today we are saying he has hit 1 billion play on Spotify. You know where the money is going? Yes, the artist will make some money. But somehow, we need to build a system where we must take from that money to fund education. But because we don't have that strong technological backbone, we cannot negotiate at that level. Ordinarily, the money that Nigerians are contributing to Facebook, we should be able to take a chunk of it and invest it in science and research. Futo. I'll be back after this break. The program is State Affairs. It is Splash 105.5 FM. The Integrity Station. Stay tuned.
was Senator Abraham Adesanya. And the meeting was being held in Papa Ajasin's house in Owo. So, when eventually Papa Ajasin passed on, a meeting was called in Owo to decide on who will step into his shoes. And there were two persons that were being mentioned at that time, Papa Adesanya and Chief Bola Ige. Then when they got to the meeting, Chief Bola Ige was the one to speak. Then he said, I would like to propose Senator Adesanya as leader of Afenifere. And Senator Adesanya was elected by acclamation in Owo. Senator Adesanya did not say, I'm now acting leader, let me move the meeting to Ijebu-Igbo. No, he didn't do so. Though it was obvious that he was acting for Baba Ajasin. All through the while when Baba Ajasin could no longer attend meeting, or when he became very ill and he had to be moved to Ile-Ife teaching hospital, where he was attended to by Professor Roger Mokonjola, the then Vice Chancellor and a first-class physician.
Should we attribute the present crisis to the hands of Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
Is the president a magician? I've just told you what happened.
Yes, but
that something that the acting leader was not following tradition properly.
But there was peace before Tinubu came in.
No, you are wrong.
Okay?
You are wrong. You are wrong. There was peace because as far as tradition is concerned, you cannot see people, when this thing started happening, when the meeting was moved to Ogbo, people were going to Ogbo. But many people were also asking the question, why are we going to Ogbo when Papa Fashoranti is alive? We have had precedents. I've just told you about Adesanya, about Adesanya. But now let me tell you about Baba Adesanya too. Baba Adesanya too fell ill. But before he fell ill, he appointed Chief Fashoranti as acting leader because he was not feeling too well. Then he became severely ill. I could no longer attend meeting at all. But the meeting was still being held in Ijebu-Igbo in his country home. And when he passed on, Baba Fashoranti was elected as leader in Ijebu-Igbo. So the tradition was there. So you can tell you that people were not too comfortable with the idea of moving the meeting to Ogbo. But I can tell you, to now say it was Bola Tinubu, anything could have happened. But now an election was coming, and Afenifere needed to take a position.
Yes.
And therefore, enough consultations for me were not made before Papa Ayo Adebanjo and some of our other leaders agreed that Afenifere should support Peter Obi. Not many people believe that should be the case. Many people believe that it was an error. That if you are representing the Yoruba people, as far as this time is concerned, the person Afenifere should support should be Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So it couldn't have been the other way, that Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the one saying that they must support him.
Did Bola Ahmed Tinubu at any time even tried to consult the acting leader, Papa Ayo Adebanjo?
Only Papa Ayo Adebanjo could talk about that. I wouldn't talk about whether he did that or not.
Because
I couldn't be privy to that.
You should be privy to it, because I know you are grounded on Afenifere issues.
But I can tell you that many of our leaders felt we should invite Tinubu to come and talk to Afenifere before taking a proper decision. So Tinubu was invited. He came to Afenifere and the meeting endorsed him. He came. I don't know whether
the acting leader was not in that meeting.
He was invited, but it was
that an Afenifere meeting?
Of course, it was an Afenifere.
That first meeting, was it an Afenifere meeting?
Of course, it was. It was Afenifere and Yoruba leadership. I've just told you that the leader of Afenifere is also the leader of the Yorubas. So if a decision as big as that is going to be taken, then what I call the leaders, other leaders will be invited. It's not just those in the nominal list of Afenifere. So that was why you can see that there were other leaders. And you cannot deny their capacity as leaders, those who came for that meeting. Now, the Papa Ayo-Adebanjo and our other leaders who took the decision to support Peter Obi, I don't believe they made enough consultation. You can see by the election. You can see that many Yoruba people did not believe that they did the right thing. If they believe so, then the election would have shown that that was what they believed in.
Tinubu was defeated in Lagos.
Yes. How does that mean that the entire Yoruba people didn't support him? It's the Yoruba leadership. Yoruba leadership is not Lagos.
So, as it stands now, is Ayo-Adebanjo being punished? Because recently, Afenifere came up with Elders Caucus and scrapped the position of acting and deputy leader. Is that a punishment of Ayo-Adebanjo?
How can you say people are punishing Papa Ayo-Adebanjo? What has been done is to return to the tradition. Afenifere leadership has always been a committee of elders. That has always been the case. Papa Jasin and all the other leadership.
Are African leaders readers?
Most of them are not readers, and it's a problem. Some of them are. Some of them are, and you see the difference in the way they handle governance. And that is why we need to encourage them the more. We need to make it attractive to them so that they take it as part of what will enable them to succeed. When you see those of them who read, you see the difference. The difference is clear.
If they are not readers, will
Yes.
they be philosopher kings?
They can't be. They can't be if they are not philosophers. I mean, if they are not readers, because the basis is not there.
And if they are not philosopher kings, they will not be good leaders?
Not necessarily. If they are philosopher kings, they are in better position to be more effective, to have more knowledge to work with. And knowledge, as I say, is power. They'll be able to get on better with governance than those who are not.
State Affairs with Edmond Nobilo is live.
So that's the voice of Professor Tunde Adeniro, a former Minister of Education. If you want to test the point we discussed in that interview, go and buy some autobiographies and read. Buy Obama's autobiography, read it, and you see what reading did to his mind. Go and buy George Bush's autobiography, or go and read Winston Churchill. Go and read Margaret Thatcher. Read these autobiographies. We must deliberately build new leaders. The way our system is producing leaders, we are going to remain backward. Before you become a leader, you must have gone through some tutelage of the mind. It will now dictate how you behave with power. Go and read Lee Kuan Yew from third word to first word. You will now discover the power of his mind. Lee Kuan Yew went to Oxford. He went to Oxford. But the issue is not Oxford, it's what he did with Oxford. What he did with his mind. You will find it in his book. Go and read the book written by Al Maktoum, the leader of Dubai. Go. In fact, Al Maktoum has written more than 7 books. Read those books, you will know the power of his mind. Read Awolowo, and you see why they were able to make that big difference. At some point, Winston Churchill was a backbencher. Go and read Emeka Anyaoku. You see the way he was reeling out those points to Tinubu. You saw the power of his voice. Go and read Anyaoku's autobiography, and go to Anyaoku's house. Because once I walk into any house, the first thing I want to see is you. And when I sit down, I quietly listen so that I test your mind. That will now decide if I'm able to relate with you. Because I've come to learn. Because I see every interaction as an opportunity to learn. Whether you are a young person, an elderly person. Once I begin to have the impression that I have nothing to learn from you, I become aloof. In fact, I begin to pull back. Because there must be something to learn. And I'm also ready to offer you something so that, I rub off on you and you rub off on me. It becomes symbiotic. And that is how society reflects on itself. You see, Anyoku's presentation, you could see the confidence in the voice. That kind of confidence comes from a deep mind. Anyoku is more than 90. Bosun, let's play Anyoku again. He's more than 90, but look at the power of his voice. Perhaps he's also lucky with his health. Look at Soyinka. We need brilliant men to govern us. Brilliant men. So when you see your leader, you say, this is my mentor. We are not having wrong mentors in society. That's why young persons, 14-year-old boys, would have the gut to behead their classmates because they want to make money. And society has not called for emergency. That young boys will have the gut to use their girlfriends for ritual. Society is accepting it. Society is quiet. Mothers are not out on the street. We are accepting it. That we will send our children out and they might not come home. And fathers are at home. They are accepting it. That our children, our sons, have now gone so diabolic because they want to make money. That our sons now bring in tortoise, dead goats into our homes because they want to make money. We are accepting it. We have so decayed as a society that we cannot speak up. The anarchy that will befall that society will be such that we dismantle whatever they have built in the past. But we will not allow that to happen. Anyoku calls for a new constitutional order, and the president listened.
In March, the Patriots organized a national colloquium, and the attendees of the colloquium included many former governors and many former and serving senators and members of the House of Representatives, as well as several academics and constitutional lawyers, plus members of the general public. The colloquium unanimously adopted a view which they requested should be conveyed to you, Mr. President, and to the National Assembly. The view was that Nigeria needs a new legitimate Nigeria People's Democratic Constitution. That the present constitution is illegitimate and cannot deal effectively with the myriad challenges facing this country. In other words, that our present governance system needs to be restructured. Nigeria is a pluralistic country. That is a country of different peoples with different languages, different cultures, and different religions. Experience throughout the world has shown that the pluralistic countries that have survived as united political entities are those that addressed the basic challenge of pluralism, that is, their diversity, through truly federal constitutions, and that those pluralistic countries that persisted in their non-truly federal constitutions ended up disintegrating. Examples of the pluralistic countries that have survived are Canada, Switzerland, and India. And the examples of the pluralistic countries that persisted with non-truly federal constitutions which disintegrated are Yugoslavia, which broke into 7 independent countries after almost 100 years' existence as one country, and Czechoslovakia, that separated into 2 countries. And coming nearer home here in Africa, Sudan, which broke into 2 countries after existing as one country for about 3,000 years. We believe, therefore, that if Nigeria is to effectively tackle its myriad challenges and to achieve its potential as a politically stable democracy, it must restructure its present governance system to truly federal system based on the factors recognized by Nigeria's founding fathers, who negotiated and agreed the 1960-1963 constitutions. Above all, Mr. President, the Patriots believe that your personal record as one of the great champions of Nigeria's democracy, Nigeria's struggle to restore democracy during the Nadeko days, provides our country with its best opportunity for achieving Nigeria's people's democratic constitution. To this end, we have come to appeal to you to send to the National Assembly the President's executive bill, which would call for 2 important measures. First, the convening of a National Constituent Assembly with the mandate to produce a draft People's Democratic Constitution. The Constituent Assembly should be of directly elected individuals, elected on non-political party basis from the 36 states of the Federation, possibly 3 individuals per state and 1 from the Federal Capital Territory. They should be assisted by 7 constitutional lawyers, drawn 1 each from the 6 geopolitical zones and 1 from the Federal Capital Territory. And the deliberations of the Constituent Assembly should take into full account the 1960 and 63 constitutions, as well as the recommendations of the 2014 National Conference, and indeed of the various other national conferences that considered the Nigerian Constitution. And the second measure that we propose for your President's executive bill is for the establishment of a national referendum to which the draft constitution emerging from the Constituent Assembly would be subjected. The draft constitution produced by the Constituent Assembly, as I said, should be put to a national referendum, and if approved, should then be signed by the President as the genuine, legitimate Nigerian people's constitution.
State Affairs with Edmond Nobilo is live.
Emeka Anyoku, if you can lay your hand on his autobiography, I think it's entitled The Eye of Fire, something like that. I have a copy of that book. Read it. He's a brilliant man. Brilliant man. Nigeria has great minds. Brilliant persons. Brilliant people. Oh, Professor Tony Falola is a brilliant man. Brilliant. You can have these persons as citizens of Nigeria, and we are poor and hungry in the 21st century. Huh? It's also an indictment on their brilliance. So there's a book I will recommend to you. It's entitled Understanding Modern Nigeria, Ethnicity, Democracy, and Development. It is one of Falola's best books. Understanding Modern Nigeria, Ethnicity, Democracy, and Development, written by Professor Tony Falola. Get this book and understand Nigeria. Understanding Modern Nigeria. You should have this book in your house. If you don't want to read it, buy it for your children. Your children should be reading books like this. Put it on their laps. Even when they don't understand it, just drop it on their palms and use it to inspire them. This book provides one of the most comprehensive and insightful analyses of the complexities of democracy, development, and state building in Nigeria. That is the book I'm recommending to you. Understanding Modern Nigeria, Ethnicity, Democracy, and Development. You'll get this book on udarabooks.com. udarabooks.com. You can also get this book by contacting me on my WhatsApp number. If you want to purchase a copy, you can contact me on my WhatsApp number. So just chat me up, 080 999 18449. 080 999 18449. Some persons will just copy this number, and all they do from morning to night is to be dumping everything they share on WhatsApp, on my own WhatsApp page. You know, false news, they'll just be dumping it on my. So if I have blocked you, just know that's your offense. Because I'm tired. Is it everything they share to you that you want to share with me? Just imagine 1,000 persons sharing that. That is what I'm going through. So sometimes I will miss relevant messages. Somebody will, some people write well. So I'm advising you, please, stop sharing those things they share to you. Don't share them to me. I know you are trying to pass the information to me, but please, I have a way of getting my own information. Don't share. Because I'm tired. And why do you share some of these stories? Some of these stories are false. Some of these stories don't make sense. And you share, said more comment. You said more comment. Just imagine I'm commenting on 1,000 per day. I'll just be on WhatsApp commenting. Then before you know, I begin to scream, a big pamio. Joe, Joe, I'm begging you. Stop sharing. But if you have some relevant information to give me. But those information they are sharing to you, don't share to me. I have a way of getting my own information, okay? I appreciate it. Help me, Joe. Hey, Joe. Now, another book. Because what I do, once I will count 1, 2. Once you share like 10 times, I say, okay, this guy no go stop. Boom, I just block you. That's what I do. I give you like 10 times. You keep sharing. That's okay. Don't share, please. There's a book I want to give you. Nigeria, A New History of a Turbulent Century. Because Anyaoku is raising some fundamental points. You see, Anyaoku's point reminds me of Ethiopia. The struggle in Ethiopia till now is the quest for political decentralization. You know, Ethiopian nationalists want a space that accommodates cultural diversities. And Anyaoku is saying, Mr. President, in acting on our recommendation, remember the First Republic, Anyaoku is saying, let's go back to the regions. I was looking at the Ethiopian constitution, part of it. Article 39 of that constitution allows for self-determination up to secession. You see, that's why Tigray had the power to confront the Ethiopian federal government, and they fought a civil war. They are still negotiating the settlement of the war. But the regions angling for secession at the moment in Ethiopia have sizable minority ethnic groups resisting their dominance. You know, sometimes I look at the Ijaw nation. The Ijaw nation is a big nation. If you look at European nations, they are self-determined nations. Poland, about 6 million. Even Iceland is not up to 1 million. In Europe, Iceland, their population is not up to 1 million, but it's a country. So Europe solved its own problems. And the ones that refused to solve their problem descended into a bloody civil war. And the war solved the problem. Yugoslavia, Anyaoku mentioned it there. Because Bronze Tito was a good man. You know, that there are some leaders that are benevolent, that the people will like. So Bronze Tito governed Yugoslavia for about 30 or 40 years. Not up to 40, but I think up to 30. Yugoslavians loved Bronze Tito. He was a socialist, but he was not the Soviet kind of socialist or the Chinese kind. He had his own model of Yugoslavian socialism. So he was able to hold Yugoslavia together because he did not try to dominate different ethnic groups. He was the father of the nation. He was not a Yoruba president or a Fulani president or Igbo president. No. Bronze Tito was the president of Yugoslavia. He had no tribe. The people loved him. But Yugoslavia was a tribal state. You had the Serbs, the Kosovans. So they tolerated him. Bronze Tito died. The guys that took over didn't have the benevolent character of Tito. They began to play ethnic politics. The war was bloody. The war was bloody. America had to intervene. The world had to intervene to say we must break. Yugoslavia was broken into pieces. And there's peace. You must have read of Milosevic. The same thing that happened to Czechoslovakia. Anyaoku is warning. Remember, Ango Abdullahi recently said that Nigeria has expired, that the North is ready to stand on its own. We must not shy. This is the time to go and read Awolowo's thought on the Constitution. You know, every time Igbo, Yoruba, Fulani, and we are refusing to sort it out. You know, President Tinubu now, because he wants a second term, will be dilly-dallying. That's how Jonathan was dilly-dallying. When I get a second term, I will fix it. That's what they will always will. By the time you get a second term, the next tribe is plotting to be president. Because they know if you fix it at that point, you need an altruistic mind to say, This is my agenda as president. This is my agenda. The Nigerian state is not working. It's not working. Since 1999, it's not working. Don't be surprised. Buhari will be better than Tinubu. Except Tinubu decided to adopt that altruistic spirit of nationalism and tackle the issues headlong. But if he decides to play politics, Buhari will end up being better than Tinubu. So we'll be getting to that point one day we'll descend into a bloody war. You think it's not coming? Have you seen the weapons in the northeast? Have you seen the weapons in the northeast? The weapons in the northwest being handled by bandits that even the Nigerian military cannot go near them? Have you asked who are those stealing the petrol in the Niger Delta? Why we cannot produce up to 2 million barrels per day? Have you asked why the militants are no longer fighting themselves? Because they have cornered different oil wells. You see the Niger Delta militants with their machine guns on the other side. You see Nigerian military with their own machine guns on the other side. And it was a recent fallout that led to what happened in the Niger Delta, in Okwama. We must sit down. That is why Falola's book, Understanding Modern Nigeria, is a good read. Another good read is Nigeria, A New History of a Turbulent Century, written by Richard Bourne. It tells you the history of where we are coming from. You saw the book? Lovely read. I recommend this book to you. You will find it on udarabooks.com. udarabooks.com. You know, at Udara Books, we specialize on books on history, politics, and power. Read this book. Get your copy. You can also get it through my WhatsApp number. Ethiopia is currently made up of 9 provinces. Groups like Sidama, with about 4 million population, has been denied regional statehood despite its large population. While Tigray, with slightly higher population over the years, dominated the country's politics. So Ethiopia might descend into another civil war if they don't sit down and renegotiate the state. The Ethiopian constitution provides that the nations, nationalities, and peoples of Ethiopia, with rights such as the right to full measure of self-government, to write and to develop its own language, to express, to develop and promote its own culture, and to preserve its history. Obafemi Awolowo University did not belong to Nigeria. It belongs to the Western Region government. All of a sudden, we centralized the state and we took it over from the Western Region. University of Nigeria, Nsukka, did not belong to the Nigerian state. It wasn't a federal university. It was a regional university for the Eastern Region. Built by Nnamdi Azikiwe, the Eastern Region government, Michael Okpara, OAU, Samuel Ladoke Akintola, Awolowo, Ahmadu Bello was built by Ahmadu Bello, the premier of the Western Region. We just cornered these universities, yet we can't manage them. We are building more. The private universities are even becoming like secondary schools. We must renegotiate the state. Go to UAE. You know, sometimes you say, where are you going to? I'm going to Dubai. Dubai sounds like a country, but Dubai is not a country. Dubai is an emirate in UAE, United Arab Emirates. United Arab Emirates. That means the emirate. Why does Dubai look like a country? Because Dubai has the constitution of UAE gives Dubai the power to run like a country. So the center is weak. It is the Emirates that are powerful. You have Abu Dhabi. When I moved from Dubai to Abu Dhabi, you could see the difference. The UAE is a federation of 7 progressing emirates consisting of Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi is the capital. Ajma, there's Fujairah, there's Ras Al Khaimah, there's Sharjah, and there's Al Quwain and Dubai. Dubai seems to be the most popular. Each emirate is led by a sheikh. The 7 sheikhs form the Federal Supreme Council, from where one of them is selected as the president of UAE. With a vision of development for its strong emirate, the country invested its oil revenue into healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Today, beyond oil, with Dubai as a shining example. What about Nigeria? At some point, the Western region was richer than Nigeria. We need to rethink the state. So there's a call to go back to regionalism based on ethnic configuration of the majority groups. Are we going to answer? So let's listen to President Tinubu's response to the Patriots led by Emeka Anyaoku.
I've listened to you carefully, and this is not a group that you ignore. It's a group of patriots reflecting the heart and aspiration of the society. I thank all of you for being here. I have faced the challenge of this democracy and inherited this democracy from your struggles. I must recognize the fact that it is most required for good governance, a democracy. We have no other choice. And I believe that. I believe also that it's very difficult to manage. Yes, to the twists and turns of democratic governance. I want to assure all of you, as I listen to you, the two major reforms that we requested: path to referendum and that should lead to constitutional measure that will fit our diversity and governance, so we avoid conflict and breakups. Yes, I'm from the school that will advocate for unity of this country, and I believe in it. I definitely want to assure you that whatever is necessary, I'll put happiness and good governance in the heart of all Nigerians. This is what I will do. I've listened to the past cries of constitutional reform. Yes, I've heard your examples and a thoughtful presentation on this subject. Avoidance of chaos is necessary to build this country and move its aspiration across the line for the benefit of all of us. I'm still preoccupied with thinking and tinkering with the economic reform. That's my first priority. Once I get that reform in place as soon as possible, then I look at other options. The option of constitutional review, as recommended by you, and other options of managed minds in this country should take into account the need for our nation to make progress.
State Affairs with Edmond Nobilo is live.
That is President Bola Tinubu there responding to Emeka Anyaoku and the Patriots. What do you think about his response? Yes, he watched his words carefully, and that was good. Because there are also certain persons in this country that want the status quo to remain. If Tinubu can use the power of strategy, he can drive this process and register his name in the sands of time. Because ordinarily, that is what the Southwest stand for. So that call has become a bit low now in the Southwest. Perhaps they are taking their time. Because I remember, while Buhari was there, governors of Yoruba land called for a Nigeria made up of the present 6 geopolitical zones as federating units. The governors of the 6 states in Yoruba land were vehement. Akeredolu led them. They came out with a document, and the title of that document is Proposals for the Review of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, dated July 5th, 2021. In that document, Seyi Makinde, Akeredolu, Dapo Abiodun, the man in Lagos, the man in Ekiti, then it was Fayemi, the man in Osun, they came together and they sought amendments to the sections of the Constitution. Having met with members of the National Assembly representing Southwest states in Abuja on the 6th of July 2021, the governors presented the document to them to build a common front in the constitutional amendment process. Why are the governors quiet now? This is the best time to initiate a constitutional amendment, not the one by the National Assembly. I'm not taking them seriously. A people's democratic constitution. And Tinubu has the opportunity to stamp his name in the sands of time as that president who took the bull by the horn and made the difference. The ball is in your court, Mr. President. You see, in that document by the governors of the Southwest in 2021, a part of it reads, we propose that Section 3, subsection 1 be amended as a federation consisting of 6 geopolitical zones constituted from the states. The governors said that the federating units or regions are divided into the following geopolitical zones. They named it Northwest Region, Northeastern Region, Middle Belt Region, Southeast Region, South-South Region, and Southwest Region, and the Federal Capital. In the document, governors of Yoruba land said that Section 3, subsection 6 of the Constitution should be amended to provide for a number of local government or such autonomous administrative unit to be created by the respective federating unit or state. You see why this Supreme Court judgment did not go down well with Sheyi Makinde? Because he makes the point quietly that they have agreed in Yoruba land that the federal government should have nothing to do with local government, that it should be the authority of the states to create the kind of local government system they want, like it happened in the First Republic. So, their own point at that time was that they should remove the 774 local government from the Constitution and allow the states to own the local government. So, something else has changed. Politics is dynamic. Let's see what comes out of it. But we are recalling history. We are going back into time. So the governors at that time said that the criteria for creating a local government shall include population, taxable capacity, ethno-religious or other cultural and social affinities. Why we cannot have more local government than Lagos State? How? Why we cannot have more than 50 local government and Lagos is struggling with few? So can we have more members in the House of Representatives? Why? Why? Why should Bayelsa State have 8 local government, Bayelsa, that is producing the oil? Have 8, just 8 local government. Why? The population density of the Southeast should be one of the largest anywhere in the world, because Southeast does not have land. So the population density is intense. So why is Southeast having 5 states? And the Northwest is having 7. So that gives the North advantage in the National Assembly. Why is the Ijaw nation not a nation? Why are you breaking them into parts? Why is Yoruba in Kogi, in Kwara, and they are in the north? Why are they not in the southwest? Why is Asaba not part of the southeast? Are they not Igbo? These are questions we must answer. All right? The Sholakbe Ademulegu interview on State Affairs. Don't miss it.
Neater than saying that
A big question.
Do you feel that coup was called for?
No, it wasn't.
It
It
wasn't.
was not called for. They just shed innocent blood. They just one of the Sadana's wives was killed. Why? Was she their target?
I think she did what your mom did.
Yeah, she stood in front of her husband too, and she was one of many wives.
Yeah.
You know? Why shed innocent blood?
State Affairs with Edmond Below is live.
My younger brother is 63. We're getting old. So even if there's no space at the top or somewhere in between, give us a buffer so that we know that our father was respected and constantly remembered.
But some would say that the army never failed the family. The army took care of the children till graduation.
Yeah. Is that enough? Did they take care of the trauma?
The trauma.
Did they take care of the trauma?
What did the trauma do to you?
Oh, lots of things. First of all, I went into a wrong marriage. And I kept telling myself, if I had parents, would I have even met this guy? No. Our paths would never have crossed.
How did the trauma lead you into a failed marriage?
State Affairs with Edmond Below is live. State Affairs with Edmond Below is live. Splash FM 105.5.
Called the national press to his hospital bed and made another pronouncement that he has removed the crown prince. He has now appointed his junior brother as the new crown prince, and he signed the royal decree on his bed. That crown prince, the new crown prince, is now the king of Jordan today. So a leader can change his mind. It is not a matter of punishment. Oh, because they are punishing. How can anybody punish Baba Adebanjo? So, but to bring peace to Afenifere, so that we can move forward, so that you don't have a permanent stalemate that, oh, these two old men, some people are queuing behind this one, some people are queuing. So Baba Fashoranti said, let us create a college of leaders that will be, all our leaders will be, and the senior leaders will be there. That is what he has done.
As Adebanjo accepted this new structure?
I'm not too sure about that, but you need to ask him.
He hasn't accepted.
And you need to ask him. I cannot say that.
Because I read the releases from his faction.
Wait. Those people who are issuing releases doesn't mean that Obaya Adebanjo is the one issuing the releases.
They are from his faction. They speak for him. And he has some formidable elders with him.
I really believe those formidable elders, have they spoken against what Baba Fashoranti said? Have you ever heard any of them say anything? Has Dr. Okurobi said anything? Has Kabi Isiolaitan said anything? Let me tell you, all our leaders are interested in reconciliation and rebuilding of Afenifere as one body.
So can we say at this moment
yes,
that President Tinubu is the leader of the Yoruba?
The Yoruba is different from Nigeria. Totally different. And Tinubu is not the first president from the Yoruba nation. He's the third Yoruba man to be in charge of Nigeria. The first having to be Olusegun Obasanjo. The second being Chief Shonekon, and now Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
But he seems to be the one that knows how to play the Afenifere game.
How is he playing it?
You know, even as governor of Afenifere, somehow Tinubu was also behind the division of Afenifere at that time.
Well,
there was the Afenifere Renewal Group.
I cannot talk about that. But let me tell you, during the Abacha crisis, when Afenifere was very, very strong on ground, all the leaders that were emerging as governors and senators were mostly people who have played roles within Afenifere. So, Afenifere and the National Democratic Coalition, they were virtually the same organization in Yoruba land.
That's Nadeko.
Yes, Nadeko. So you will see that all the leaders
Now, there's this book entitled The Nigerian Revolution and the Biafran War. I'm more interested in the Nigerian Revolution before the Biafran War. It is a book written by Alexandra Madiebo. That's Major General Alexandra Madiebo. Now, if you read the Nigerian Revolution, what led to the coup of January 1966, the Alexandra Madiebo narrative, one of the most extensive narrative, because that is the story that Sholakwe Ademulegun is telling. Her father was killed in that coup, and the father was one of the top military men at the time. So if you read the Nigerian Revolution and the Biafran War, the aftermath by Alexandra Madiebo, you got a lot of lessons to learn. This book is the book of the day. The Nigerian Revolution and the Biafran War by Alexandra Madiebo. It is the book of the day. Get it on udarabooks.com, udarabooks.com, or through my WhatsApp numbers, 08039 18449, 08039 18449. When I say get, I mean purchase. Okay? Purchase it through my WhatsApp. No, I don't like the word purchase or buy. That's why I use the word get. But I think people are misinterpreting the get. Okay? You can order it from udarabooks.com. Order it from udarabooks.com. Or through my WhatsApp number. So I'll be using order now. So you can order it through my WhatsApp number. Great book. The Brigadier's Daughter. Part 2 of the interview with the Brigadier's daughter, Sholakwe Ademulegun, on State Affairs. Sholakwe Ademulegun is on State Affairs. She's the author of The Brigadier's Daughter, a concise story on what happened to her dad on the 15th of January, 1966. It is about the coup we've been talking about. But here is an eyewitness account of the bloody coup of that era. So at some point, your uncle had to take charge, Uncle Bashir. Your mom had a house in Lagos.
Yes, she did.
Tell us the story.
So, remember I said that we were with the Akinchetes? At that point, my maternal grandmother began to clamor. Oh, she wants her grandchildren, they would look after us and all that. So, because, you know, at that point, they probably saw the Akinchetes as my paternal side, since they're from Ondo also. So it was agreed, the army came back, moved us again, gave my uncle Bashiru the keys to my mother's little bungalow in Oshodi, off Agege Motor Road in Lagos, and handed us over to him, my younger brother Goki and I. They had just established Army Children's School and Barracks Yaba. Here it's now called Command Children's School. So we were registered there. The school bus, the army bus, would come all the way from Yaba to Oshodi. That would be his last stop, and pick us up to school and bring us back. So we moved in with Uncle Bashir and his family. At that time, he had just 2 children. He ended up with, how many is she now? Yomi, the 2 girls. He ended up with 5. But at that time, he had 2, and there was 2 of us, my brother and I, moved on with him. But it was a couple of years of nightmare.
Nightmare.
It's nightmare.
You were almost poisoned.
Yes, I was. They had a houseboy called Bassi. And one day, for some reason, Bassi gave me food without soup. I think it was eba or fufu, I can't remember. But you know, since that time, eba and fufu, my enemies, I don't go near eba and fufu. It just reminds me, it takes me back to that.
To now?
Yes, you won't see me near it. So, Bassi gave me food. He didn't give me soup. My cousins and my younger brother were playing outside the house. Very close window, you know, playing football. I had done some housework, and then that was why I didn't eat at the same time my cousins and my brother ate. So I sat down and wondered why I had no soup. And then he took like a cane, a whip, and asked me to start eating. I began to eat and I began to throw up.
How old were you?
7 maybe. I began to eat and I began to throw up. As I was throwing up, Bassi was asking me to pack it up again and eat it. I sat on the floor.
Where was your uncle?
He had gone to work. He was working with Drum Publications at the time, the magazine. His wife too was working somewhere, I can't remember. They had both gone to work. You know, I still feel that my mother's spirit. Oh, I'm supposed to be a born-again Christian, right? I'm not supposed to believe in spirits after the death. But I still believe by some reason my mother's spirit was there. Why was I throwing it up? Why wasn't I swallowing the poison? Why didn't I die? So as I was eating and throwing up, he was beating me. I was getting weak. At some point, he took off his trousers. Wanted to have me. I was 7. And then I screamed with my last energy. Luckily, my cousins and my brother were peeping through the window, wanting to come in to use the restroom. That was what saved me.
You were in the restroom?
No. They wanted to come into the house to use the restroom. So, like I said, I was sitting on the floor by a passage near the same window where, you know, that looked outside where they were playing. So they came in and Bassi pulled up his trousers. There was an old man in the next house. He's dead now. Alaji Alfa. My younger brother saw me, ran to the next house to report to the old man. My younger brother was, if I was 7, then he was 5. Alfa came and they took me. There were no phones, you know, no phone calls. They waited. The Alfa knew my mother's second brother. My mother had 2 brothers. There were 3 of them. My mom the first, Uncle Latif the second, Uncle Bashir, who we lived with, the third. So he reached out to Uncle Latif. The next day, Uncle Latif came. No, that same day. Took me away. We had other uncles, cousins of my mom. Mr. Obisheson, he worked with Liver Brothers. He was a top manager with Liver Brothers. And a few other Alaji this and Alaji that, you know, my mom's cousins. Like I said, my mom was Muslim. And they called Bassi. Called my uncle, called his wife. Bassi, why did you give her food without soup? Why did you? Bassi said, my uncle's wife had given him some substance to put in my food, to eat. Substance, poison. And that he just felt, well, if I was going to die anyway, what was the harm in having what he wanted to have with me? Of course, my uncle's wife denied it. My uncle denied it. Well, at that point, it was decided by the family that we be moved away from Uncle Bashiru in my mother's house to Uncle Latif, my mom's second brother. Uncle Latif had lived in London. I don't know if deportation was the in thing at the time, but he came back. And he didn't have like a high-collared job or anything, but he had love. He lived in Abule Oja in the Yaba area of Lagos in one room, but we found love with him. So my younger brother and I were moved to him. He wasn't married then, but he had a woman he was seeing. He said he just went to her and said, Betty, will you marry me for the sake of my sister's children so that you can help me look after them? She married him. She was from Delta State, half caste actually, half Oyinbo, half Delta. She married him and we moved in with them. They had just one bed, One room. They slept on the floor while my brother and I took their bed. So that was round where? Round 3, 4, where we lived? 5? It's the count still goes on.
Traumatic moments.
Yes.
Do you still feel the trauma?
Oh yes. Oh yes, I do. I loved him. And when he died, I gave him a hero's burial. Before he died, he had had children in the UK and he had lost contact with them. Like I said, he came home. I took him back to the UK a bunch of times to try and look for his family. Well, we never found them. Maybe they didn't even bear his surname because he had left a long time ago. He had 3 children. Well, we couldn't find them. He died. But before he died, I had grown up. And living with him, after a few years, it was time to go to secondary school. I got admitted into 2 schools in Lagos, 1 in Ibadan. I chose to come to Ibadan to be away from everything.
Ejide Grammar School?
Yes, Ejide Girls Grammar School, to be away from everything. So I was in boarding house. Luckily, all the principals knew me, knew my story. Mrs. Omishade, whose husband, I guess, was a politician, Chief Michael Omishade. Mrs. Onitiri, Mrs. Adebekun, the various principals at different times. They loved me. But you see, I was a disturbed child. I was not mentally disturbed, but I was an unhappy child. Opening days, visiting days, nobody would really visit me. Sometimes, yes, my uncle would come from Lagos, but not all the time. I thank General Olufemi Olutoye and his late wife, Professor Oluri Omotayo Olutoye, for the part they played in my life at that point. They used to call them federal commissioners then, minister, right? They call them ministers now. On days when they came to visit me in Yejide on visiting day, I would be like walking on the moon. Oh boy, with the soldiers driving the car and me, I had this visitor. I'd be so happy I'll be walking on air because people hardly visited me.
The army never abandoned you.
No, they didn't.
The army took you to school.
Yes, primary school, secondary school, up until end of 1st degree. Although they didn't continue mine in when I left America, but it was okay. Ondo State government also gave us some buffers, yes. You know, because I didn't tell them the problem I had with the lecturer, so but it's okay. They did very well.
What happened to Uncle Bashir?
He died. Eventually, they denied it, like I said. Bassi was, I don't know if he was sent to jail or sent away. But Uncle Bashir continued to live in my mom's house with his wife. He had more children. He ended up with 5. So, over a decade down the line, I got my lawyer to write him a letter. I was almost done in university, or I think I was done, and I needed to use the place. I had dreams to establish a school and to give scholarships in my mother and father's name to indigent but brilliant children, which I still do. So I asked my lawyer to write him a letter to leave the house. I gave him a year, a notice of a year. You know, those wooden furnitures my mom had put there? So you can take everything, but just leave the house. Oh, his children still hold that against me. It's my mother's house. I had a right to do that. So he left. A few years later, he died. His children were young. I got involved. Like I said, Muslim, we had to bury him same day. Yeah, I played my part as a dutiful niece, but that was it. His wife lived a couple of years after him.
The story you wrote in your book, he didn't treat you well.
No, he didn't.
I'm wondering why he didn't.
You know, come to think of it, let me digress a little. In Colonel Banjo's, one of his letters, Colonel Victor Banjo, one of his letters, he mentioned us. I don't remember the page, 174, 172, I don't remember. In one of his letters to his wife when he was in incarceration, he said, I wonder what is happening to the children of my friend, Brigadier Sam. That's how he referred to my dad. I hope that when I get out, if I get out, I will be able to look for them and take care of them so that, life can be a little easy on them. You know how human beings can be. He said that. So, Uncle Bashiru, there's a picture in my book that was taken in London. Uncle Bashiru and his wife, my mom, made sure he got to London, maybe when my dad was serving, I don't know. And Uncle Bashiru held me in the picture. It's in the book. Oh, I was the favorite niece. What happened after my mother died?
What happened to him?
I don't know. I became the house girl. I did all the work in the house.
That is the pain of being an orphan.
Yes. Even from blood.
You kept remembering your mom and dad?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Were you helpless?
You could say that. He used to beat us a lot. We used to have moments of solace during the holidays. Mrs. Olutoye, her children too attended Army Children's School, the Basis Army Children's School, Babatolas, Oluleyes, they're all still my friends. General Akiola's children, name them, Fajobis, they're all still my friends. Now, during the holidays, these people would have agreed amongst themselves who would come and pick us to spend the holidays with them. At least we'll be out of. Mrs. Olutoye would come. I remember the Army Land Rover would bring her. My uncle would disappear, especially when he sees the Army Land Rover outside the compound. He would go for hours. Mrs. Olutoye won't go. She will not leave. And then my uncle would come back. Oh, Mrs. Olutoye said, I came to collect the children so they could spend holidays with us. And then my uncle said, okay. He would call me into the bedroom, like to pack our stuff. And then he would twist my ears. Twist it, rub it first. It would be very hot. Then twist and pull me up with my two ears. I won't make a sound. You know why? Twist my ears all you like. I'm going. At least I'll be away for a couple of weeks. Oh, yeah.
Did you ask him when you grew up why those tortures?
No.
Why didn't you ask him?
You know what? I think God dealt with him in his own way. I won't go into that.
How did your younger brother feel? Was he also dealt with?
I think it was a little easier on him because he was a boy and my uncle's children were boys. It was a little easier. And he was very young. He didn't have any memories. He didn't remember much, you understand? So he probably wasn't a threat to them. I remembered a lot. So I was a threat. You know, I have a feeling that if things had gone on the way they were, he probably would have inherited the house, probably sold it. That's where my school is today, in honor of my mother. Yes.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
That is the brigadier's daughter, Sholakbe Ademulegun, telling her story. Her father and mother were killed on January 15th, 1966 school. Remember that? That is Brigadier Samuel Ademulegun and his wife. And they became orphans. She became an orphan from the age of 6, and she's telling her story. She has written a book, The Brigadier's Daughter. If you read this book, you will understand the pain that they went through. You can get this book on my WhatsApp number. Order it through my WhatsApp number, 08039 18449. The Sholakbe Ademulegun interview on State Affairs. Do you read books on the coup?
I did a few for a while. The 5 majors. I guess that's the only one I read. Because some of the information is really not true. In one of the books I read that my father was accused of fraternizing with the politicians. How do you say you're commander of one brigade in Kaduna and there's a Sardauna, there's a prime minister, this, and you don't have a relationship with them. How? How? So they were probably accused of being corrupt, and I laugh when I think of that corruption. My father had what? 2 houses. One in Ikoyi that everybody else had. What's the road now? I've forgotten. General Gowon lives there now. Chief Akintola had one there too, so it must have been what they gave out to all of them and took out from their salaries. He had another one in Surulere. My uncle sold it a while ago. That was it. My mother had her house even before she married my father. She had the Oshodi land before she married my father.
And I've also read...
Corruption? Really? Can you compare it to what we have now?
They said your dad was very political.
So they said.
They had connections in the political circle. Even in the book he runs it was mentioned.
But was that wrong? Should he have been the enemies of the people in power? Do you understand? Should he have been the enemy? Isn't that how governance work? Hand in hand, together, to make things better? If they said that about him then, what will they say about others now? A big question.
Do you feel that coup was called for?
No, it wasn't.
It
was not called for. They just shed innocent blood. They just one of the Sadauna's wives was killed. Why? Was she their target?
I think she did what your mom did.
Yeah, she stood in front of her husband too, and she was one of many wives.
Yeah.
You know, Hafsatu, I think, I can't remember her first name. Why shed innocent blood?
Do you feel that coup was the beginning of the Nigerian crisis?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. I don't think we ever got over that. One thing led to the other. There was the counter coup after that, and then the civil war, and then a bunch of military takeovers after. Brought us to where we are today. We're still trying to work on democracy.
You feel your father has been given his due respect?
No, he has not. Recently, before President Buhari left power, he named airports after a few people, heroes. My father never got recognized. Someone actually laughed over it, and I felt pained.
Who laughed over it?
Oh, somebody who comes from my state and my town. Oh, Daddy didn't even get. I said, okay, it's okay.
We have been honored in Ondo.
Yes, the longest road in Ondo town was named after him. A cenotaph of him standing in military uniform was erected. A road was named after him in Abuja too. We were not even aware. Someone just, a couple of years ago told us. They even missed the spelling of his middle name. He's Ade Shujo. They first put Ade Soji, and then I think one of my brothers, I noticed it, and then they corrected it. So somewhere in the central business district in Abuja is Samuel Ademulegun Avenue. But that's not enough.
What else do you want?
Now, there still needs to be some form of compensation. This affected us terribly. I know that some of our colleagues whose fathers were killed but who had mothers made it to some point. I know in Nigeria sometimes, your father was good, he served and this. Okay, so you, first son, come. We'll groom you. And then you get a political appointment, get this, get that. Some, I won't mention names, but some of the children of those who were killed in that coup had mothers to fight for them, to go to whoever they needed to go to. We didn't. I keep describing myself like a goat without a head, a headless goat. It will just hit a tree and move back again, hit something else and move back again. So I don't think enough has been done. Recently, I read that President Tinubu, His Excellency President Tinubu, approved some insurance policy of 18 billion naira to families of fallen heroes. I wrote a few newspaper articles in different newspapers, The Sun, Punch. It was online, thanking him and asking him to remember the children of the original fallen heroes. At some point, I wrote a letter to the Chief of Army Staff. It was delivered. It was acknowledged. The copy was acknowledged. And then a journalist friend of mine who did the delivery of the letter, and I said, oh, I don't think you guys are included. It's for the Boko Haram fallen heroes. I said, some heroes laid down their lives, made sacrifices for this nation before the insurgent ones. How do you say it doesn't include us, it doesn't include the children of the fallen heroes? Of course, we didn't hear anything anymore. And that's...
One of your brother was in the Air Force?
Yes, he was our firstborn.
Uh-huh. Was that not a form of compensation?
Well, if you say that, except you now look at the fact that he was retired as a group captain, he never even made Air Commodore, let alone Air Vice Marshal.
Why was he retired?
I don't know. He was the airport commander at the Nigerian local airport. I think that was his last big assignment. He was retired.
How are the Ademu Legun boys?
Oh, they're doing okay. We've lost 3. There's just 3 of us left.
You're the only girl?
Yes, I am the only girl. My daddy's baby.
What do you want President Tinubu to do for you? To do for the Ademu Legun family?
President Tinubu is a very wise man. I know that if he hears about this, he will look into it. Incidentally, my mother being from Lagos State in some way is linked to the Tinubu family. My grandmother was Miss Ekemode, and President Tinubu's first cousin is Dr. Ekemode on the mother's side. So there's a link. I'm sure President Tinubu would have heard about my mom. In her days, they called her Sisi Nurse or Sisi Koge. Koge meaning the one who does yanga, you know. President Tinubu can help us, compensate us, asking, like I said, there's just 3 of us left. My immediate older brother, Benga, myself, and my younger brother who lives in the US. It could be some political appointment. It could be some compensation. Okay, take you guys. So that in old age, we're all getting old. At least you have a buffer. I'm going to be 65 this year. My immediate older brother, you know, we're not same mom, is already 65, heading 66. My younger brother is 63. We're getting old. So even if there's no space at the top or somewhere in between, give us a buffer so that we know that our father was respected and constantly remembered.
But some would say that the army never failed the family. The army took care of the children till graduation.
Yeah. Is that enough? Did they take care of the trauma?
The trauma?
Did they take care of the trauma?
What did the trauma do to you?
Oh, lots of things. First of all, I went into a wrong marriage. And I kept telling myself, if I had parents, would I have even met this guy? No. Our paths would never have crossed.
How did the trauma lead you into a failed marriage?
I just wanted a home. I just wanted to have my own home, my own family, stop living with people.
So you were ready to move in with any man?
Yes. And then I found this one who seemingly wanted me. Didn't quite work out. Maybe I expected too much. Maybe because of the loss of my parents and the loss of love, I wanted too much love, which nobody could give me. Maybe, maybe not.
Too much
Or
love.
maybe the man felt, after all, you have no parents, and treated me the way he did, not too nicely. Maybe.
Did you treat him nicely?
I think I did. I think I loved him to a fault. I think after a while, I realized I wasn't getting anything out of this. I pulled out. Oh, I had 2 wonderful children.
Your best friends?
Oh, my best friends, the loves of my life.
And you showered them with love?
Yeah, and my grandchildren. Oh boy. I have twin grandsons. I love them to bits.
State Affairs with Edmond Bilo is live.
Yes, you just listened to part 2 of the Sholakbe Ademulegun interview. You know, her daddy, Brigadier Ademulegun, was one of the top. The top 3 military officers were Aguiyi Ironsi, Brigadier Samuel Ademulegun, and Babafemi Ogundupe. There was also Bassi. They were the top guys. And the Nzogu guys took them out. Ademulegun out. Babafemi Ogundupe survived. Aguiyi Ironsi survived. That's the story. That's part 2 of the story. Abbas Owolabi Adeshola on X says, Edmond, good job from you. Points of notes to correct. Kanu has 44 local government, not 50. All right, thank you. I agree with that. Thank you for that correction. I appreciate it. Yes, I overestimated it. I checked it. It's 44. Thank you. North Central is the geopolitical zone with 7 states. That's another correction. Thank you. I said Northwest. It is North Central. Abbas Owolabi Adeshola, thank you. I appreciate you for keenly listening. Next week is another time. Don't forget, we recommended 4 books today. The Brigadier's Daughter, The Nigerian Revolution and the Biafran War by Alexandra Amadiebo, Nigeria, A New History of a Turbulent Century by Richard Bourne, Understanding Modern Nigeria by Tony Falola. Get those books on udarabooks.com. Just order them or through my WhatsApp number 080 999 18449. I am Edmondo Bilo. Next week is another time. Thanks for